r/the10thDentist. Ubadenor says, why baking soda is bad for your teeth. I came across a post from 2 months ago and was shocked by the negativity in the comments. Some claim that baking soda is abrasive for teeth, but a simple Google search debunks this myth. Baking soda is not abrasive, with an RDA value, radioactive dentin abrasion, of only 7, compared to toothpaste which can range from 30 to 200 in RDA. This clearly refutes any misinformation about baking soda's abrasive properties. As for fluoride, it's often touted as essential for dental health. However, in Japan, hydroxyapatite, a naturally occurring substance, is used instead. While fluoride may be effective in strengthening teeth, it's not natural and carries potential side effects if ingested. If there's something I'm overlooking here, I'd appreciate clarification. Though I'm not a dentist, I'm eager to learn and correct any misconceptions. Included photo. Inevitable Cellist 23 says, r/substacken literally. Irrelevant Anonymous says, I think you got lost but it's funny. Naos 210 says, while fluoride may be effective in strengthening teeth, it's not natural, so what makes something being unnatural, whatever that actually means, bad? Denbus 26 says, whenever someone tries to tell me that something is good because it's natural, I like to remind them that hemlock is also natural. Hathead Priest says, arsenic, foxglove, belladonna, death cap mushrooms. Natural, organic, free range. Ungushungus 94 says, fluoride is a naturally occurring mineral. Where do you get your information? Spezball says, Facebook. Username 124474 says, there's no opinion here lol. r/the10thDentist. Lightweight says, marshmallows are overrated and they are sickening to eat. Marshmallows ruin everything. The texture is awful. They taste bad when added to stuff like hot chocolate. I want to order fairy floss, cotton candy, gelato, but it comes tainted by mini marshmallows. I want to like Rocky Road, but people ruin it with huge overpowering chunks of marshmallow in it. Hot chocolate is already sickeningly sweet. Why would you make it worse? The marshmallows just float on top and go all yucky. Kias says, roasted marshmallows are so good though. External study 5390 says, agree so, frick, I'm much they are so disgusting. Sensitive mode 7529 says, they're only acceptable toasted. That powder on the outside makes me want to rip my tongue off. Consistent says, I wish this sub didn't allow for people to post about literal tastes. Like bro, it's not even your choice to like it or not. Illustrious World 56 says, upvoted I love some good s'mores. Kinmora Toast says, upvoting because I love marshmallows and the only reason I don't eat way more is because they're bad for me. I like them straight out of the bag, lightly toasted, burned, on a s'more, or in a peanut butter sandwich. Crowway001 says, marshmallow fruity pebbles are amazing and part of balanced breakfast. Upvoted. r/the10thDentist. Jackfruit Same 2828 says, I don't like movies. At all. I've never watched movies because I want to. Rather, I would catch some scenes while walking near a TV or going to a cinema just for the sake of bonding with my loved ones. And yes, no matter how professional, aesthetically pleasing, overall well-made movie is, I was basically forcing myself to sit through it. I'm counting minutes while waiting it to end. I've tried different genres, comedy, thriller, drama, you name it. But nothing works for me. I thought about having something like ADT, but I can concentrate on things for a relatively long time, and I enjoy reading. Not liking movies sucks. It's like a colorful big Versalite world, or thousands of parallel universes, and it is unachievable for me. Dracky Town says, FYI, people with ADD can concentrate on things a relatively long time. We just find it incredibly difficult to do so regarding things we're not inherently interested in. That said, not everybody likes movies. Nobody has to like movies, and not liking movies is not remotely diagnostic. Kazai92 says, is it the same with any form of TV or visual mediums? Video essays? Documentaries? Live concerts? Cooking shows? Animations? Starful Sunset says, same. I love video games, but movies have never clicked for me either. Petapaka72 says, lol, so you posted the same thing, except about TV shows, in a separate post, using an alt. Clockwork Kitsune says, I also dislike watching movies, but only alone. If I'm watching them with someone, and cracking jokes, and chatting, then I'll sit and watch movies all day, as long as there's a social aspect to it. Tatesi64 says, looks over at my big ass letterbox diary UHH. I guess I disagree. r/the10thDentist. Maybe Havet says, I like shitty roads with potholes, it makes driving more engaging. Find it weird how people hate it so much. Driving is normally pretty boring, but when there's some random obstacles on the road it actually keeps you engaged, and it's a fun little challenge. People in the country love complaining about the roads being shit, but I just don't see the problem here. Experiment 23 says, did a mechanic write this? Cheyenne K says, you'd love it here in Greater Manchester. Every day is like driving through a WWI no man's land. Maybe Havet says, so for context, I'm from Norway, there's so many turns and slopes everywhere that you rarely get to a high speed, so I don't have to worry about accidentally running over something at a very high speed and ruining my car. Maybe that makes it more understandable, IDK. Ungushungus94 says, running over a pothole at 30 miles per hour can still frick your wheel up. Torf says, it's only fun until you miss one at like 100 km/h and break something. In Germany on the autobahn it's engaging enough to see cars flying by at March 3rd and you'll need to avoid switching lanes when this car is behind you for the 3 seconds you see it. Curtis Linithicum says, I'm going to guess you haven't had to get your suspension fixed yet? Also, it's cute you see it as a challenge, and not there are so many holes it's impossible to avoid them all, so I need to guess which ones are shallow, so I don't bottom out. r/the10thDentist. God King of Heaven says, I hate Dobby. Dobby is the worst Harry Potter character, and I was thrilled when he died. He contributed nothing to those films, I haven't read the books, and I hated every scene with him in it. The second film is by far the worst simply because he's there. I hate Dobby. Expensive Peach 32 says, he did always strike me as being the Harry Potter version of Jar Jar. Alvicina 0412 says, I know this isn't what you meant, but the fact that Jar Jar talks like a minstrel show character and house elves are just enthusiastic slaves came together for me instantly when I read your comment. Touch Thermos says, book Dobby is way better than movie Dobby. It takes away all emotional impact of his death when they just chose to omit nearly every time he was in the series. Between his introduction into and his death, he was in every book besides one, honestly can't remember which. He wasn't my favorite character, but he barely existed at all in the movies. Alaf Pilafoff says, him and his dumb sock. Philistaguigustus says, as someone who's never consumed any Harry Potter content, this is, I'm hilarious. Narxavis says, I didn't like him in the books, didn't like him in the movies. I remember my friends being so heartbroken by his death and me just thinking about what a little asshole he is. r/the10thDentist. Takanenahanakozan says, dying on the toilet seat is actually one of the best ways to go. It's like you literally could not give a shit anymore and just decided to die. Very chill and cold and careless. Why, not suicide. That is, unless you were actually pooping, in which case it could get very ugly, but most people just use the toilet for thinking anyway, so it doesn't even matter. Norman Debris says, most people just use the toilet for thinking anyway. I reckon most people use the toilet for pissing and shitting. Twasivrucht says, you're telling me people don't rethink their entire life for about an hour on the toilet? Norman Debris says, secondary to shitting, of course. Dutile says, checking my pulse as I'm reading this while taking a dump. Cumaradocious says, the act of straining is what contributes to deaths on the toilet. So yes, it's often due to pooping. Homosexual Bloomberg says, counterpoint, it's way more traumatic to literally any of your loved ones who find you. Source, I know people who found parents like that. V-Ink says, given most people who die on the toilet are heroin addicts, it doesn't seem peaceful. Choose life. Takanenahanakozan says, heroin sucks. Choose Nutella. Mordaunt the Wizard says, ah, yes, the Elvis method. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.